Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan, so I'd love to see him.
It's almost like legacy of like the NFL versus.
But I definitely think that Baker could be a really good player for the Panthers moving forward.
Did I say Oreos?
There's a lot of questions I have about Mahomes. Looks like a kid playing Madden.
Turning point in the game is the 13-second drive.
They play very hard, even though they're terrible.
He's a good pick. For sure. He's going to be a good player. But I can't argue against the Jamar Chase pick.
They made moves saying we're going to win this year, at least get into the playoffs.
I'm going with my guy, Corey Seager. So glad.
What's good, y'all? My name is Austin Drummond, and I play rugby for the University of Notre Dame. And you're listening to The Outsider's Opinion with Austin and Kevin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Finals predictions with a special guest. First of all, I'm Kevin. Then my right-hand man, my Batman to my Batman. And then the greatest of all time, according to himself, Tim, making another appearance. And thanks, Tim, for joining us.
Oh man, it's great to be back. It's been too long, truly.
It's been like 2.5 years, or it's been
Two
like
and a half years.
It's been like two.
Wait,
I mean,
has
we've
it?
been doing this for basically 2.5 years. And
Was
it was
this
at the
in
very
year
beginning.
one?
Wait, no way.
This was easily year one. This was not. This had to have been 2020 when we did this, and it's already 2023.
Oh, that's
Was it NBA
insane.
playoffs?
I don't think it was a playoff video. I think it was something before that. I can pull it up because
I remember I talked about the Warriors, and it was like towards the end of the season. I don't know if it was early playoffs. I don't think it was early playoffs.
I can't.
it was June 14th, 2021. So it's been a year and a half, a little over a year and a half.
Wow.
That's before the opinions of the week change.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's actually crazy.
We had to bring back our OGs, our OG
course.
special guests.
Oh yeah.
Tim, have you been watching a lot of NBA playoffs? I haven't been really watching. I've been
watching a little bit. I wasn't watching the East series as much. I'm very West biased, obviously because I'm a Warriors fan. But I just enjoy watching the Western playoffs a lot more. I think a lot of people can say the same. I don't know if you guys think that. I know you guys are just full basketball lovers, so you'll probably watch every game. But I try to watch the West, and then if I can catch an East game, I can catch an East game.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, the West definitely has more entertaining series. Most of the real big stars, when we think KD, Jokic, Luka, Curry, or all LeBron, are all in the West. So I think that's definitely part of the bias there.
Yeah.
It's definitely helpful when we get to see the best players in the league play. It's no knock on the East, but just especially with Giannis and Joel not even playing in the Eastern Conference Final, it definitely hurt the viewership probably.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just did a day calculator, Tim. It's been 717 days.
Since I've been on.
Yeah.
Jeez.
2 sevens, so that means Luka. I'm trying to think, is there another undrafted free agent with the number 17 on the Heat? Or will he make an appearance in the NBA Finals?
That sounds like an Austin question. Austin he knows.
17 on the Miami Heat.
I was just kind of also making a joke. There's just going to be some undrafted Miami Heat. Because when I heard Caleb Martin, I'm like, who the heck is that guy? And then I look at my Twitter after Game 7 saying Caleb Martin should have been Eastern Conference Finals.
He should have been. He should have been.
And I agree. And I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. I didn't know this dude didn't play.
Honestly, I think they were just trying to avoid another 2015 Steph Curry situation. You give it to Iguodala, who didn't necessarily have the stats, but maybe he had the big moments during the finals. But I think it should have been Caleb Martin, not Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I just checked because I wanted to make sure, but there is no number 17 on the Heat. I didn't think there was because I couldn't think of anybody, but the closest is Caleb Martin, who's 16.
Oh, wow. That's for the next undrafted free agent because I saw an article. It was Udonis Haslem, undrafted. Duncan Robinson, which I remember that was when he had his big year, and then he got the mega contract. And then he showed up again. which is
Yeah, he
surprising.
didn't have a great end to the series though. He could have ended the series a game earlier if he just didn't take an extra dribble before he shot, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't blame them. They were just sometimes you miss shots, especially wide open ones like that.
I think a big part of this series is that Hero's only played one game in these playoffs, and now he's going to come back. How much do you think that matters?
Oh, I had no idea he was coming back. What do you mean?
He's game 3. He's supposed to come back.
Game 3 is the goal.
Okay. I did see that. I thought that was just like a possibility. So it's confirmed. Game 3.
He will be back this series. The goal is game 3. I'm assuming he'll be back by at least game 4 then.
Man, I can't even imagine trying to plug him in. I had him on my fantasy roster, all right, and I actually watched a lot of Heat games because of him. He is not a plug in any system type of player. Like he has to have rhythm. He has to have it. He has to have it going. The team around him has to be hitting as well. He's not gonna. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine adding him back and for him to just shoot like 5 for 20 or like 3 for 19 or something.
Yeah, he takes a lot of shots.
Yeah,
something that can be very detrimental to a team that already has a lot of huckers, like like they do with Strus, and obviously Jimmy takes a lot of shots, and sometimes Duncan does too. And then Gabe Vincent has a game, and Caleb Martin has a game.
Yep.
But Hero needs those shots almost every game for him to get in a rhythm.
Whose minutes do you think that's going to hurt? Because, I mean, I guess it would be Duncan. That'd be like the direct.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would do Duncan, and I'd probably have Hero come off the bench because I don't want him. You wouldn't want to mess with the starting lineup.
Absolutely. Don't mess up the
Yeah. I mean, Haywood Highsmith's played some minutes too. He's averaged about 10 minutes per game, so I bet that's definitely taken out. I don't think he plays at all, even though I like his intensity.
Yeah, I don't think he's seeing the court in the finals.
Yeah.
Cool name, though.
Think...
Cool name. Haywood Highsmith.
Yeah.
And I think,
you go.
And I think game 3, game 4 is an interesting return because if they're down 0-2, then I think definitely insert Hero. But if they're up 2-0, maybe you just wait till game 4 and see if something goes wrong.
If they're up 2-0, I would even try to insert him in. At that point, let his what he hurt again, his hand, his wrist. He broke his wrist.
He broke his hand or something like that.
Yeah, I would just say let his wrist heal, and I mean you could do a similar. He'll be in a similar situation to the to Dante DiVincenzo. You know, he won. Bucks won a championship with him riding the bench injured. You know, he's gonna feel like Dante said he felt like he was useless just watching his team win game after game. So it could be something that hurts his confidence, but I think they should even try to plug him in this late.
I think a big storyline into this, or coming into this, is kind of Jimmy's fall off. Do you think that he's already exerted so much energy that maybe we don't see another series of him averaging 30? When I look back at the finals run in 2020, he didn't really average as many points as you would think, especially in those earlier rounds, mainly because they didn't need it. They swept Indiana in that first round, obviously with him only needing to average, when we look back at it, 19.8 points, and then they gentlemen swept the Bucks, and he didn't really show up until the finals when that's when he averaged 26.
Right.
Do you think maybe he exerted so much energy early that he's going to really struggle to put forth the energy needed for them to win a title?
No, not at all, actually. I feel like this series, if it didn't go to 7, I feel like he would have been in even better shape. But since it went to 7, and he didn't he didn't have any crazy performances from my memory during the series. Did he even drop any points higher than 30? I don't even think so.
I don't.
Let me check.
So.
He dropped 35 in game 1.
Oh, in game 1. Okay. But no, I think he kind of used this series as like a resting series, even though he doesn't know if the team was gonna get out of the Eastern Conference Finals. But he let Caleb do his thing, Duncan do his thing. Lowry even did his thing for a couple games. I feel like he felt like he didn't have to go Superman, so I think his legs are going to be fresh for whatever defender, probably KCP, they're going to throw at him, and Bruce Brown.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
worried because this series, I mean, in round one, he averaged 60% from the field, 38 points per game. Like, we're never going to see that from him in the finals. But his percentages has fallen off. He was a really good 3-point shooter in the first round, but since then he's shooting in the low 30s. He shot 42% from the field this series, so he's going to have to pick it up, especially with how good the Nuggets offense is.
I agree. I feel like the way Nuggets play play defense as well is they're going to funnel all their 3-point actions towards the paint. I feel like that's what they want to do. They just don't want them to shoot threes at all. Because if the Heat can get hot from three, then the Nuggets have to either do the same thing or force Jokic to do what he usually does and drop like 40, 20, and 30. I don't even know.
Kevin?
Yeah, I agree. I think Jimmy is. I'm gonna disagree with you, Tim. I think he's gonna be pretty tired, and I think I don't think we're gonna see something like we saw in 2020. I think he's gonna try to defer a lot. I also think he injured his ankle, so that's something to keep in mind. But if he takes, maybe he rests the ankle the first 2 games or the first game, and then he can go on a run and carry the load. So that's something I'm keeping in mind. And also, I'm curious, Tim, what are your thoughts on Jimmy Butler as a player and how he ranks against other players?
Is he top 5?
Oh, no. I do not have him
I
top
feel the
5.
same way.
Yeah.
I feel he's entered top 10, but I've been well, I'm friends with someone who's a huge Jimmy Butler fan. He's probably the biggest Jimmy Butler fan.
No, he's really high up there. Like, he rated Jimmy Butler higher than
fan.
He rated him higher than Giannis.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
So,
wait, where was
and
Giannis? Like you said
Giannis was under.
Oh, so he
Kevin was
wasn't-
there. He told me the story.
He was like, so first this guy was, he's gonna remain unnamed, but he had Jokic finally because he had put like Steph and LeBron up, and I was like, Steph and LeBron have been injured past year, and I'm a very recent person, and I'm like, yeah, I'll put Jokic, and then I go Giannis, and he's like Jokic, Jimmy Butler, then Giannis, because Giannis can't make free throws. But I'm like, Giannis is just fantastic, and he's incredible.
in every other way.
Jokic is probably there because he's made it to the finals. But I think Jimmy Butler to me is probably now in the top 10. He was probably borderline top 10. And now he's like in the top 10.
I guess if I like look at a whole body of work standpoint, see, I can't watch Jimmy Butler play in the regular season because it seems like he's not even trying. Seems like he's coasting the whole time, or he's like picking 2 quarters out of a game to like turn it fully on, something like that. It just doesn't seem like basketball. That's not even going to bring casual fans in. Only going to be diehard Jimmy Butler fans like the guy you named, or Heat fans like that. But yeah, that's why I'm not as high on Jimmy Butler as some people are now, even with his great performances so far. But I wouldn't put him in my top 10.
What you just said, Tim, is 100% true. I've watched.
I
watched
this.
Yeah, I've watched. You know me. I watch a lot of games. A lot of games. Every Heat game I watch, the first 3 quarters, Jimmy is not just not good. He's honestly bad. Like, he can't hit a shot. He's not playing hard on defense. And in the fourth quarter, he'll have 6 steals and have 12 points, and eventually average 20 for the game. And it'll like, oh wow, he had 28 and 8 and 6 steals. Well, he had all of those stats in the fourth quarter, and then the Heat eventually win the game.
Right.
So I think he realized that, and this is kudos to him partially, that all you have to do is get in the playoffs, and once you're there, then you can start trying. Getting a seed doesn't really matter because you're going to have to face the Bucks eventually. Like, if you're a 2 seed, you're going to have to face the Bucks.
Yeah.
You're eventually going to have to play the Celtics or the Sixers or any of the other teams. So I think he just does tone it down. And when you say top 10, you really have to distinguish playoff performer from regular season performer. And like, Embiid would not be in my top 25 playoff players. But if we're talking regular season, then he would be in my top 10. So you really do have to distinguish playoffs from regular season.
I agree. I mean, kudos to Jimmy
Yeah, I
that he
think that's
doesn't care
well said.
about personal accolades. People
Yeah.
are gonna knock him for not having as many All NBA teams or All Stars, but you can tell he really doesn't care about it. So kudos to him.
Yeah, and I think there's something about being a great player in the NBA and performing well in the regular season that's necessary, and you also have to perform well in the playoffs, and that's something I'm excited for Jokic.
Well, Jokic has definitely done both. Considering he's averaging 29.9, 13.3, and 10.3. We've never seen those numbers before on the splits that he's also performing them at. So it's honestly incredible what we're witnessing. And we've heard a lot of talk, and I've seen some Heat fans talk about how Bam, because he's more athletic and not injury prone like Davis, can try to slow down Jokic. But I don't know if can you slow down Jokic?
Absolutely not. And I am a former Joker hater. I will publicly admit this now that I was not high on him after the Warriors did him in last season. And I had seen before in years prior that Jokic was picked on towards the end of games and pick and rolls or whatnot. He was put in almost every action, making him tired going on to the offensive side of the ball. He just wasn't – he didn't have enough energy to do what he wanted to do. Until I saw him this season absolutely demolish every center or any other player they tried to throw at him. So his consistency has been off the charts, and I love the guy now. I'm not gonna say that. Go ahead.
Somber shuffle.
Yeah,
Somber
he's
shuffle.
fantastic. Game 1 of Nuggets Lakers sticks out to me because Austin and I talked about, I had brought it up to Austin, was like, hey man, let's see how Anthony Davis guards Jokic. And then Jokic out-rebounds the entire Lakers team in the first quarter.
Yeah, a big conversation coming in was how does Jokic play against Anthony Davis, and the LeBron lovers and the Laker lovers were all like, Anthony Davis will shut down Jokic, and then Jokic averaged 28, 15, and 12 during the series on 51, 47, 78 shooting. So, let me ask you this, Tim. If Jokic does what he's averaged these playoffs, averages 30, 13, and 10, can the Heat win a title? Or I guess win this series with Jokic averaging what he's averaged these playoffs? Or do they have to stop him from being his average self?
No, they can't. They can't win this series if Jokic averages 30, 13, and 10. Because at that point, not only is Jokic hitting at all cylinders because he's scoring, which he doesn't even prefer to do, but he can do it so efficiently that he's doing it. But that also means that he's getting his teammates involved, which is even more dangerous for the Heat because that means they're scrambling all over the place like eggs that fell out of a carton or something like that. I don't even know what I don't know. I don't see a way Miami can win this series. I don't envision. I can't envision it at all.
So it's we'll get to predictions in a sec. But I just have one more thing to get in the notes. So we're gonna have, I think the biggest stars are probably Jimmy Butler, Jokic. I think it's for sure Jokic is gonna perform, and if he doesn't perform, then it's terrible. But who's the second guy that needs to perform for both teams if the teams want to have a chance to win?
For the Heat, you have to say Bam. I've seen a lot of talk saying, is he even ready to face a center like Jokic? Can he hold his own? Can he even score offensively against Jokic? That's a big question for the Heat. And I would say for the Nuggets, I have no doubt that Jamal Murray is going to show up, so he's not going to be that player for me. I want to say Aaron Gordon. I want to say if Aaron Gordon has a good series, the Nuggets, yeah. I'm not even going to say my prediction until later.
I agree with the Bam pick. If you more casuals would say Caleb Martin or Gabe Vincent, but like you can't expect them to be that guy, or you're going to lose the series. You are. If you expect Caleb Martin to average 22 this series, like as a Heat fan, he's not that type of player. He can't be that consistent, in my opinion. But Bam picks the right pick. The only thing I go against you is Aaron Gordon. I think it's more of MPJ. Can he be that shooter? Because if he can stand in that corner and Jokic can stay at the top with the ball over his head, threaten to shoot, and then pass to the corner and MPJ's pulling it in somebody's mouth every possession, the series is over.
All right. Okay. I like what you said, Tim, with Jamal Murray. It's just, again, he's going to perform.
I agree with that totally.
That's a good way. I was going to go MPJ. And then with Bam, so he has to perform defensively and offensively, correct?
Yeah.
I think it's more important that he performs offensively because I don't think he can really stop Jokic. But if he can average 18 points a game, I do think that gives them an edge.
I like the Gordon pick. I'm interested to see how he performs.
Yeah. Him and Jokic, their little duo thing, it works pretty well. I actually didn't expect it to work pretty well when he first went there, or they traded for him. So I hope he performs well, and I do expect him to perform well.
All right. And now I think we can go into predictions. Tim, you have the floor.
Alrighty. Well, of course, if you've been listening so far, I have Nuggets winning this series. I have them winning in 5 with a little star that says if Jimmy Butler has a Jimmy Butler game, then all right, Nuggets in 6. I'll give them 2. But I see them getting a little gentleman's sweep out of the Heat. So, and obviously, if the Nuggets win, there's no doubt in my mind that Jokic is going to be the MVP because the current voters love stats, and with Jokic putting up those type of stats that he usually does, or that he has during these playoffs, he's not losing that at all. They're not going to vote for one other person. I can guarantee that.
I think one person votes because the question is Mark Jackson on this list? Is that the guy that didn't put Jokic in the top 5?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
but there's
MVP.
no doubt he does it again. There's no way.
I think there's gonna be one guy. But yeah, I agree. Since I jumped in, I'll go. You know what? I'll say Nuggets in 4.
Wow.
I'm just a Heat hater, which
Oh boy.
I also would love if I could just roast the Jimmy Butler fan. I like, man, he didn't even win one game. But yeah. And then if Jimmy Butler has one of those games, then I think the Heat win. But Finals MVP Jokic. I think one person votes like Jamal Murray or something.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to agree with anybody, but I had Nuggets in 5 a while. I said that before Game 7 that whoever they were going to play, they were going to win 5 just because of the intensity of that series and how much it's going to take out of them. But I think it's people don't understand how well the roster is constructed with the Nuggets. KCP is a veteran who's been there, done that with the Lakers before, who can give you 12 points and solid defense, and we've seen it multiple times. Bruce Brown is a great role player. Jeff Green is another player who's been there, done that before. And then obviously they have the young guy Christian Brown that comes off the bench sometimes. I don't see. I think this series is more on a Spoelstra masterclass if the Heat can get this game or get this series to 6 or 7, or if they win it, it's more on Spoelstra than it is on Jimmy. Because I don't think Jimmy can average 30 this series, but they don't win it. I would still take Nuggets in 5 if you told me Jimmy averaged 30. Because it takes more than one player to beat this team. And we saw that Game 4 in LA. LeBron has 49 and 8. And who won? The Nuggets. Because they're just that much better of a team.
I like that you brought up the coaching battle. It's something a lot of people would overlook, but it really is important, especially to like a finals series that's coming up. But I would say that Michael, is it Mike Malone? Mike Malone.
Yeah.
is a lot closer to Spo than you're letting on. I think Spo is the best coach in the NBA, but I would say Mike has really elevated himself with the Nuggets in the last 10 years since he's been there to be a great coach in this league.
Yeah, Spoel's been incredible, and it's really, if you look at the finals run, it's a very different roster for the main guys. Because I was listening and someone was like, "It's a veteran. That was a veteran team. Goran Dragic, Jay Crowder, Iguodala. Now you got young guys, Iguodala, and then of course you still have Jimmy. But yeah, I am interested in Mike Malone because this is his first finals, and Spo has been here before.
Yeah, this is now his 6th.
I don't know the exact, but it's definitely.
I'm 90% sure this is 6 because he went to the 4 obviously with LeBron and D Wade and Bosh, and now he's been to 2 with Jimmy. And I do have to ask this, and I think this is already true even if the Nuggets don't win somehow. But Jokic is easily a top 10 center all time if he wins this title, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is 6 championships. You're correct, Austin. I no doubt, but I just wanted for the listeners.
If any of them had doubt.
Yes.
I wouldn't doubt Austin.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. But like we have to start comparing him to the problem with Jokic is you really can't compare him to anybody. But if we're talking like a David Robinson, right, that won 2 titles, but he didn't win either of those in his prime, and especially in 2003, he was averaging 9 points a game in the finals, only playing like 15 minutes. So I would still take Jokic over him, even though David Robinson has a MVP. But the problem is that Robinson's a much better defender. How do you do those rankings, Tim? Does that matter, or is it more of a body of work type of thing?
It's definitely a body of work type of thing, body of work. But like I have Jokic in my top 10 already. Not top 10 all time, but top 10 centers right now. I feel like he'll be I think he's already on the path to top 10. I want to ask you guys, is he above Giannis for you guys? Real quick.
No.
Right.
No?
Now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. He has to win before he wins the championship now.
Okay.
Yeah, before. Yeah, I probably. Yeah.
Giannis has 2 MVPs. Giannis could have won an MVP this year. I would prefer Giannis over Embiid if they just didn't want to give one to Jokic. Because Giannis really is the catalyst to why that team is so good defensively. I know they have Brook Lopez, but having Brook Lopez with Giannis, it's a whole different beast. And all the injuries that they dealt with this year with obviously Chris Middleton, Andrew Holiday both missing games during the season. But Giannis is above Jokic right now.
Okay.
But I if we're talking about, yeah, I think we're getting off track, but I'm totally fine with that because we're not going to have many videos with you, Tim. Where does KD rank? Because his 2 rings, do they mean anything? 1, and then 2, if they do, he only has 1 MVP. Like, if we're talking, I know he's probably the smoothest scorer of all time.
That's a good way to put it.
But Jokic could have already had 3 MVPs and probably should. And if he wins the title this year, he did it by himself. He didn't have that second all-star on his team. No one else on his team is an all-star. And this title is worth more, in my opinion, than the 2 Warriors titles that KD has. Do you put Jokic above KD?
I won't yet. Only because of the time standpoint. You know, it's respecting the Kevin, even though he has shown that he cannot do it without Steph Curry by his side, which I will point out.
You got to respect Kevin, so. You got to do it.
I respect all Kevins.
But yeah.
I respect all Kevin.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's a good point. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, he's going to have a finals MVP. He was in MVP contention. But yeah, Giannis, I'll probably take for defense, but they would have similar resumes if you looked at it. Well, Giannis has Defensive Player of the Year, but I was going to bring up a thought, like, if Jokic wins, how it seems like he's rushed to top 10 all time, and I think that's a valid conversation.
Yeah, it really is. But I mean, do you have Giannis above KD all time? Because I do. I'm looking at before this season. I'm looking at my preliminary top 25 all time. But this is before this season even started. I had Giannis at 21 and KD at 23. So I really don't value what KD brings as a leader, and I think that's something to consider.
No, I don't find him a leader at all, actually. People like to call it the KD Warriors, maybe because they feel either KD led the Warriors or they felt he was the best player on the Warriors, blah, 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 blah. Either way, they call it the KD Warriors, which I feel like is an indictment on Steph Curry's name because we know who was the voice of that team, who was the engine. I would say Draymond was the heart, but he's not the heart anymore.
Let me put it this way. KD was the best player on those Warriors teams, but he wasn't the most important. And I think that's the best way to put it. Is that without Curry, that team is drastically worse. But if we're talking both on the same court, I'm taking KD over Curry on those teams.
I think it's just a good description. Like, hey, remember the Warriors team that won a bunch of titles? And then I was like, they were good, but remember the KD Warriors? That team was just insane because you had Steph Curry and KD. And also Clay healthy.
Of course.
Yeah.
I just feel like, what was I about to say?
Here's something I do want to point out. The Raptors series, the 2019 finals, it wasn't over when KD got hurt. It was over when Clay got hurt.
Absolutely.
And I do think that points of how good those Warriors teams were without KD. Is that I was rooting for the Warriors after KD got hurt because that would be a great underdog story for them to win without what many considered their best player. But with Clay playing as well as he was, and obviously Curry dropped a 48-point game in Game 2 and they still lost, I didn't think that series was over until Clay was out.
No, I agree. But, beggars can't be choosers, so.
Are you referring to the already like 3-time world champion Warriors as beggars?
4-time.
4-time?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I think
KD's play was elevated in those finals by Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You can go on rewatch the finals, of course, and Draymond, but he got open because who he was playing with. Yes, he made the shots. You have to hit the shots. He can be as open as he wants, the lightest defense that he's receiving, but he has to make the shots, and hats off to him. But I'm just saying he has shown that after he left the Warriors system that he can't win with another star or with another two stars. So I don't even know at this point with KD.
Yeah. I think that's a fair question. And KD is a great talent. He knows where talent is, and I respect him for that.
KD is very much Kyrie, in my opinion. They're both synonymous with each other in my mind because they've never really been a leader. Even when they were the only guy on their team, I never really saw Kyrie or KD as a leader. They're not going to be the reason why you make a long run like Jimmy has been. Whenever I look at them, yes, they're some of the most skilled scorers I've ever watched. Watching Kyrie highlights or KD highlights is some of the most memorizing things ever because it's just what they can do with the ball in their hands is one of only 5 players all time can do. But when it comes to winning games, I don't want either of them on my team.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, that's fair. I wish I could not have Kyrie on my team, but it's beggars can't be choosers.
I think
this one fits a lot better.
Yeah.
This one does.
11 seed in the West. Yeah, I think that's valid.
Jeez, man. Also, can we stop the thing with Miami Heat being a play-in team? They were a 7 seed already. It's a great run, but they were already in the playoffs. I don't should not be a supporter. What are your thoughts on the plan, Tim? We are not supporters of the plan.
We do not like it.
Y'all do not like it. I personally do not like it either. You know, you go back to when the Warriors lost to the Grizzlies in the play-in, and then the Lakers. We were the 8th seed. We would have been the 8th seed if there wasn't any playoffs. Play-in. Well, the fact that the play-in stats don't even count towards regular season or playoffs is even more stupid.
No, the stats are literally useless. Like
Yeah.
they don't. I don't. Basketball Reference doesn't track them. I'm not sure StatMuse tracks them. I can't find any of those stats. Like the game technically happened, but they're not attributed to per game playoffs or regular season. So they're just in a void somewhere that you only can get if you look up Wikipedia and look in play-in games.
I think when you asked about the Heat being a play-in team, I think people or the media is only referring to them as a play-in team because it helps boost.
Oh no, 100%. That's Adam Silver requested that.
Oh yes. Oh, they were the play-in team. Oh, they were like 5 minutes away from losing to Chicago in their second playing. All right, yeah.
They shouldn't have even been in the pllaying game.
Exactly.
It's and you referring to the Warriors. I remember when the first play-in games happened and the Wizards were in it, and they talked about the Wizards were a play-in team. We were the 8th seed heading into the play-in, and we were the 8th seed coming out of the play-in. We should have been in the playoffs no matter what. There's no reason for us to miss the playoffs. We were an 8 seed before the play-in happened. So I just don't find the worth in it. I besides extra money, which is always the reason why they do this stuff.
Of course.
It's not helpful for legacies. It's not helpful for roster construction. You're not thinking, let's get the 7 seed now. You don't want to get a 7 seed. You want to get a 6 seed. It makes the 7 seed almost worthless because you still have to win play-in games to be in the playoffs.
Did y'all see the thing where they're trying to implement, an in-season tourney? They either grants either a playoff position or it grants draft lottery boost or something like that. Like that's the weights they're going for.
Interesting.
Which
I would say let's expand rosters.
I hate that, but
I'm team expand. If we're gonna do that, which I wouldn't do it, but expand rosters so where it's like European soccer. But then that would hurt the NBA because then like LeBron's not playing every game. You get to see someone like someone similar to Caleb Martin,
right?
In their story.
That would be crazy if it guaranteed a playoff spot. That would be nuts. That would be crazy. I could not imagine.
That's when Jimmy Butler would go off.
Oh no, Jimmy's only trying. He literally would not try the entire season.
He would try so hard during that in-season tourney. Yeah.
He would do nothing and then try.
They would literally win 6 games all year, and all 6 are in the tourney.
And they said it was gonna flow perfectly during the 82 game season. So it's not like it would mess up the schedule.
They're terrible at scheduling.
Tim, I find it hilarious because they talk about making the season shorter, and then they add a play-in, which could add 2 games to your season, and then they're going to add an in-season tournament, which if you go all the way in that adds more games to your season. At some point, there's just too many games being played that, I'm going to sit out because I don't want to get hurt.
Exactly.
And then they're out. It's really confusing. Like, why would you add more games if you want to lessen games?
Their argument was that because it's going to be in the flow of the 82 game format, that the 2 winning teams or the winning team is going to only play 1 extra game on their season. So they're going to play 83 games, which you're adding a playoff environment mid-season. Players are going to be trying harder. They're going to be playing harder, which could, lead to more injuries. And
again, if I'm Kawhi, who doesn't already care about personal accolades at all, I'm just going to make sure I'm healthy for those in-season tournament games. Like, there's no reason for me to play in the rest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it was great talking to you, Tim. We will make sure not to wait a year and a half or 2 years.
Yeah, 717 days.
Yeah, y'all can just wait till the Warriors are in the finals next year, and then we could do that little prediction. I could tell you we're going to sweep whoever, we're going to see.
Ooh. We'll see. Okay. It would just be incredible for a poor franchise like the Warriors to sweep in the finals.
Just
Yeah,
one
never
more,
heard that
just
story
one more,
before.
Please, one more. You know?
One
Tim,
more, you're fine. Oh, can we ask you, what are your thoughts on Bob Myers stepping down?
Okay, so at first I saw the news and I was heartbroken, and then I really looked at it in a big picture. I don't think it's gonna hurt us as much as people think so. Bob Myers was a relationship specialist. You know, he wasn't like a GM wizard or something. You know, he wasn't pulling picks like the 30th pick or 26th pick in round 2 or something. He wasn't like getting those players and turning them into awesome guys. He was making big trades, which I feel other GMs could do, but he was also making great relationship with the Warriors players, and that's what reflected on a lot of our players taking pay cuts, and that's why we've seen the success that we have. But the CBA is going to ruin all that. So,
do you have a someone in mind that you want to take his job?
well, what's the guy that used to play for us? Mark. Mark, I know you knew the last Dunleavy, Austin, Mark.
Oh, my Dunleavy.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
He's already he's been around the Warriors organization. He was kind of like Bob's second-hand guy. So that it's either gonna be him or it's gonna be Lacob's son, which that would really suck if Lacob's son becomes GM of the Warriors. That's all I have to say on that.
All right.
Yeah, my Dunleavy is. I just checked. He is a part of the. He's a vice president of basketball operations. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Right next to Bobby.
I respect Bob for leaving. He's like, wait, I can't spend millions of dollars because of the new CBA. I'm out.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun.
But yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, I'm very interested, and just with the money, how they maneuver it. So it's going to require a lot of math.
Absolutely.
That's all we got. You heard it here first. Mark Dunleavy has the greatest of all time, the self-given greatest of all time approval. That's what we got. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.